Time to have a look through the papers for you this morning with the journalist Sonali Shah and DJ Nehal. Morning, Nehal.
How are you?
Not had you on the show before.
No, first time.
Nice, rare treat. Rare
You
treat.
need some initiation.
What are
you suggesting? I think Stephen should think of something. You've got the naughtiest minds.
Yeah, I have got the naughtiest mind, but I know Nehal already, so he might know what he's in for. Right, anyway, let's crack on with the Sunday Telegraph tonight, looking at the Virgin crash and a shot of the wreckage there of the VSS Enterprise. I mean, this really has been a blow to commercial spaceflight.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the papers covering it this morning. I've picked this because of the headline, the missed warnings. The Telegraph is talking about how 3 senior Virgin Galactic executives, the Vice President in charge of propulsion, the VP in charge of safety, and the Chief Aerodynamics Engineer had all quit the company over the last few months. And there had been warnings since 2007 when 3 engineers had died during the development of these crafts that things were not right. Now, it's easy for us to sit here when we don't know the technology to say, oh, were the checks done? And that's what the investigation is going to show over the next few months. But they're saying the investigation into this crash could take up to a year.
It's interesting. I mean, Sir Richard Branson was saying he thought it was irresponsible for people to speculate on this before the NTSB investigation was carried out.
But I do think it's important that people continue to question what is going on, because what you don't want is a company not being checked. And I'm not saying they've gone out there irresponsibly, but you do need people questioning, and you do need those investigations, and you need people to follow up on, you know, are things ready to fly? Were the tests done too early? And I think it's important to answer those questions.
Yeah, well, they do need to get to the bottom of it. To the Sunday Times, Nehal, faith schools must teach gay rights. Can't imagine this going down overly well.
Well, I was going to file this under good luck with that one to Nicky Morgan, the Education Secretary. So, I mean, she's come out and said that these schools have to teach pupils to be tolerant of other religions, that they have to be respectful of gay rights and transgender relationships, and saying that they will downgrade those schools. Ofsted will downgrade schools that do not show that they can deliver on those British values, as they're called. I mean, it's interesting because doing a phone-in show on the BBC Asia Network like I do, you can imagine how many phone-in shows I've done over faith schools over the years. And there are some very worrying things that some faith schools do. I've done outside broadcast shows from many faith schools at the time and seen across their walls celebrations of all different faiths. But, you know, teaching people about gay rights, for instance, when their religions fundamentally tell them that being gay is wrong, how do you square that circle?
Well, they'll be asked to be going against their principles, won't they, in essence?
Well, that's essentially what they are trying to do.
But tolerance one of the...
But tolerance, love, etc., etc.
Yeah. All religions ask for tolerance. Whether you think it's right or not, you still have to be accepting.
But then promoting it. The issue is about promoting it as being equal to heterosexual marriage, gay marriage being so. Now, the interesting thing about this is if you downgrade the schools for these very reasons, weirdly enough, perversely enough, you might attract certain parents to these schools because they are not willing to, but then presumably over time they could be prosecuted for this. I mean...
Gosh, it almost takes you back to the days of Section 28, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
well, these schools have been allowed to flourish. I mean, you know, and especially under free schools, for instance, people can bring these around. And this is, you know, we're talking about, and it's very important to say this is not just about Muslim schools. There was a Jewish school in Salford that was downgraded for this. Roman Catholic schools are being looked at for this. So it is going right into this faith school system.
But doesn't it go against what was said at the time of all the debates and the vote, where obviously there was concern raised about whether teachers would be forced in RE or what have you to talk about this or not to put forward a negative message? And
well, how dare you be forced to be tolerant? An outrage that anyone should be.
Wasn't this part of the triple lock system that the people wouldn't be forced to say stuff or adhere to stuff that they didn't like because of faith?
I think what's important is that these faith schools are checked. I think people are so scared of being politically correct or just delving into an area they don't know. They don't want to be seen criticising a certain community. But these schools need a lot of inspection, because otherwise you're going to get a situation like you did in Birmingham where the wrong message is being sent out.
And they weren't faith schools, just to be very clear.
Yes.
None of those schools in Birmingham were actually faith schools. So
Let's go from faith to feminism, should we? And the politicians have been getting involved with this T-shirt, kicked off by Harriet Harman. Here we go. It's on the front of the Mail on Sunday. Ed Miliband did it as well. This is what a feminist looks like. But it's not what a feminist wants to be paid, which is 62 pence an hour.
Yeah, I've been watching this story develop all week. A little bit with frustration, actually. First of all, the Mail on Sunday has done an investigation and found out that these T-shirts that cost £45 were made by women in Mauritius who were being paid 62 pence an hour. So that is one dimension to this, that, you know, there's always another side to these kind of T-shirts. But why I've been frustrated all week is, you know, I feel there's a little bit of bullying going on with certain campaigns, and people are jumping on the bandwagon. So Elle magazine that launched this campaign, it was their feminist issue, which I find surprising that a magazine needs to have a feminist issue, a female magazine, but it did. And it said, we've asked David Cameron, the Prime Minister, 5 times, and he's refused to wear this T-shirt. And I feel that's a little bit of bullying going on, because I can understand the Prime Minister of a country not wanting to say yes to every campaign. Just like Barack Obama said no to doing the Ice Bucket Challenge, there is always going to be a campaign, and there is always going to be someone asking you to do something for a certain charity or a certain cause. And how do you pick the right one? And I think what's more important...
In a country where women are paid less than men, surely the Prime Minister, a man, should be standing up and saying, yes, I absolutely believe in this, and wearing a T-shirt. The Ice Bucket Challenge I can understand, but this is just wearing a T-shirt with some words on it.
I think
what's wrong with him doing that?
It's
some
a
people might think
campaign
it
for...
kind of demeans the office of Prime Minister.
It does,
and
yes,
you should be above that.
Any more so than it demeans the office of Deputy Prime Minister or Leader of the Opposition?
Well,
Do you think any less of Nick Clegg because Here's the litmus test of it. Do you think less of Nick Clegg because he wore a T-shirt saying this is what a feminist looks like? Do you?
Well, personally, I don't.
Oh.
But he's not the Prime Minister.
I feel tipping a bucket of ice.
If I'm being honest, I think slightly less of Harriet Harman for wearing it in the Commons.
What an opportunity. And, you know, this is a commercial T-shirt being sold by Whistles for £45. I'm not sure which way it's going to work. Maybe less are going to be sold because Harriet Harman is now wearing it. But I do think that you can be a feminist without having to say it. Isn't that what feminism is about? You have a choice, whether you're a male or female feminist. You have a choice. And it's more important what David Cameron does about women's rights than wears a T-shirt.
The bigger issue here is actually about the clothes that we buy, I think. And because, of course, it's all well and good saying I'm a feminist if a woman is sleeping, 16 to a room, women being paid £62 an hour, which, just to be clear, is below the average wage, half the average wage of someone in Mauritius. So before people think, well, actually, that might be a living wage in Mauritius, it isn't. And then we have to look at ourselves as consumers when we go into shops and we buy things cheap. Someone is being exploited for that, and you just have to either put your hands up and say, you know what, I accept the fact that someone in the world somewhere is being exploited for the fact I want cheap clothes, or not.
Yeah, we need to look into it a bit more, don't we, in the sense that we don't... I mean, I don't
Whistles
think about
certainly
things.
do. They need to do some due diligence on who's supplying them their clothes.
Especially when they're trying to send out a message like this.
Can we have a quick look, just at the Independent on Sunday and the poppies? Because this has been... I mean, obviously, as we head our way towards Remembrance Sunday, there's been so much controversy over this display, because it's so popular, but also in the comments in The Guardian as well. I mean, it's turning into a bit of a debating issue.
Ultimately, it's a stunning piece of art. My wife and children went to see it this week in half-term, of course, so for all those parents who are looking forward to their kids going back to school. My wife and kids braved this, and I say braved this because she said it was unbelievably packed. I mean, she felt really quite, whoa, and there have been warnings actually not to go down there, haven't there?
There have, but when you look at these aerial images...
It's stunning, isn't it? It's absolutely stunning.
Whatever you think of the piece of art, isn't it fabulous that it has got the nation talking? It has got so many children over half-term being taken there by their parents, and their parents explaining to them what this means, and whether you think it's tasteful or not. And I think most of people I speak to think it's tasteful, but not everyone is going to. It has got people talking about what it means and why the installation's been put there.
And it's going to raise a tremendous amount of money with each poppy, £800,000, £25 I think they're going for.
Yeah.
But
they've all been
now.
sold,
Yeah,
yes.
Sold. I just think it's a really thought-provoking piece, actually.
Absolutely.
It is
Lovely.
beautiful.
So we're looking at the papers with Sonali and Nahal, and thankfully we've got some good fashion news, Sonali. that we can do this?
I'm not sure I would call it that, but if
Socks
you,
and
if-
sandals.
if
That's
you
an
want to
outrage.
See, to me, that photo on the right is what you see footballers wearing after training. I'm not sure why, but, you know, maybe they've had enough of their studs, so they wear socks and sandals. But I've never done it personally. I've always...
I think my dad has.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a dad look.
I think it's that sort of dad look. I've always slightly cringed if I've seen a woman wear open-toe sandals and tights, which I do see often, and I don't quite get it. But maybe there's a reason for it. I just
No,
don't
I've
quite
never done
get
it, just in case anyone's
I've not.
wondering. I think it's completely wrong. That's the whole point of sandals, to air
But
your
what's
feet.
the point? I mean, Birkenstock, and there are other sandals available, have brought out, like, wool-lined Birkenstocks. I don't get it. Just wear closed-toe shoes if you want to be
It's
warm.
like loafers and socks. If I see a guy wearing loafers and socks, I'm being an Essex boy that I am. Loafers, no socks.
No, this
loafers
is-
and socks.
This is true, and Joey Essex would be with you on that one.
My man.
Let's have a quick look at the X Factor being dead, according to Craig Greville Horwood.
Oh, he
There
would
is.
say that, wouldn't he?
It's over, dear. They're over. Frightful people, terrible singers. Go away. Yes.
Good impression.
Very
yeah.
good.
Strictly, and of course he would. And you know, the BBC show Strictly is a couple of million ahead of X Factor. The problem with so many of these shows, I have to say, I can't bring myself to watch Strictly. I mean, I watch it because my friend Scott Mills is on it, who I hope he didn't go out last night. I didn't see it last night.
No, I didn't.
Real
It was tonight, it was
supporter he
tonight,
is, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, we do have things to do as well. I can't bring myself to watch Strictly because I feel like I'm just not old enough